2 phones.
I have another phone. I should maybe use it. Anyway. Okay. So let's continue. The fact that Torah will be revealed in its as Hashem's substance in the future depends on how much we do it as a mitzvah now, how much we're in bittul when we learn it now. Because even in the wisdom, right, even in how Hashem is engarbed in the wisdom that He's adopted as part of Torah, there is the infinite light there, except it's coming down as a thread. And by having bittul, by us having self-nullification, עצמיות הנפש נכללת בבחינת ביטול בהקו, אור אינסוף שבתורה, גורם וממשיך התגלות עצמיות האור שלמעלה מהקו והחלל. So, by us adopting a stance that this is a mitzvah, and not just that we're doing it for understanding, we're drawing down the infinite substance of Hashem, through the kav even. It's almost like saying that you're able to pass the infinite through a finite thread, a finite conduit. We have examples of that. It's very interesting. In mathematics, there are real examples of this. Remember, the most, I can't explain it now, but the most profound moment I had in all my studies in college was when I understood Shannon's second theorem. That's what it's called. And it basically states, I can't show it now, but it basically states that over a finite medium, a finite channel, you can send an infinite amount of information. It just doesn't tell you how to do it. But it says you can do that. I'm oversimplifying it a little, but really what it means is I can send you information at the top speed that this channel can. Let's say it's a pigeon, so top speed is, I don't know, 1 letter per day. And no matter what happens to the letter, no matter what happens to it, even if it's destroyed, mutilated, doesn't matter, you will get all the information on the other side. It sounds crazy. But you can show it mathematically that this is true. It's just that it's only a descriptive theorem, it's not a constructive one. It doesn't tell you how to do it. But we're very close to it in many ways. You know, with the cell phone now broadcasting to the tower, wherever it is, to the antenna, wherever it is, 90% of the information could get lost, and we're still able to get it all across, but we are sacrificing some of the speed of the channel, meaning we're using some of the capacity for correcting the errors. But he shows that theoretically you could fit something that's infinite through something finite. That's basically what it means. Or the sages have a statement for this, it's called pila bekupa de machta, right? Fit an elephant through the eye of a needle. Okay. So that's what we're doing. The moment that we understand that this is a mitzvah to learn.
It says that if you have a dream of an elephant going through a needle, that's impossible.
Good,
so
that's impossible.
You can't prove it.
Good, but that's what he's saying right now. That's where the carrying of opposites occurs. That's where the paradox is occurring. Wow, how is this possible? Now we will read this because this is an important note. Because nullifying one's being is very effective. לכן ביטול זה של הנפש והחב"ד של הבושה, המחשבה ודיבור בעסק כלל בבחינת לא תחללו, גורם להמשיך תוספת אור והתורה. So it's so affective with an A, that it causes some addition to come into Torah. What's this addition? זהו פירוש עוסק בתורה לשמה. That's what it means to be osek in Torah for its own sake. For its own sake means that I do it because I want the infinite light to be revealed. And that's not because I want to understand. L'shem HaTorah atzma, for the sake of the Torah itself, so that the Torah can be a conduit for the infinite substance of Hashem. Because right now the Torah is just a ray of light. Again, this whole ray of light, that's the whole topic of the Nefesh HaChaim. Okay? The Nefesh HaChaim, his whole understanding is that the Torah is only a kav. That's how most everybody who learned Kabbalah understood. But by man, what does it mean that he's a ray of light? How does this play out? The people understood. This is especially true by those who learned the Nefesh HaChaim, that the only revelation of Hashem in the world is through Torah. There's no revelation in the tree. There's no revelation because it's very little islapshus there. So in a sense, you can ignore it. It's like it's not there. But where is there islapshus? There is in the Torah, because the Torah is a kav. But if the Torah is a kav, so it's not transferring the substance, the infinite substance. It's only transferring the enclosed light, the enclosed revelation, the limited revelation. But he says, by a person nullifying himself, when he learns, he's adding a second dimension to this kav, and he's passing the infinite substance through this limited channel. He can cause the revelation of the infinite light that is higher than even the ray of light. And where do I see this? He says in the sages. They say if somebody says, I only have Torah, even Torah he doesn't have. What do you mean? What does this mean? I only have Torah.
Because you have to have mitzvahs as well.
So he says here, if I only have Torah, something that I possess, that's Yeshus. That's being. So I only have means I don't have. You have to have and not have. What does it mean to have? To have is to understand. You have to understand. That's what it means I have Torah. But you also have to not have Torah. And to not have Torah is to say, I'm not doing it because I want to understand. Again, I'm not against understanding. But I'm doing this because I was commanded to do this. For the infinite substance of Hashem to be revealed in the soul, while I'm learning, there has to be nullification. Because it says, Bir'uta deliba talia milta, because it depends on your kavana. There has to be kavana, even in learning Torah. There has to be a feeling, even when I'm learning Torah, that I'm not just unifying myself with God's mind. Because the God's mind, according to Kabbalah, is only a limited, it's a sphera, it's only a limited engarment of godliness. To connect to the infinite, the heart has to have in its intent, you really have to have intent to be nullified before it. And even if I don't understand a word, it doesn't matter. That's why we daven and we say Kriyat Shema before we start learning in the day. Because Kriyat Shema and davening are the exemplars of having bittul.
But the Tanoi didn't say Kriyat Shema.
Why not?
They didn't say Shema.
Of course they did.
They daven once a month.
No. Kriyat Shema they said. They daven once a month. The Kriyat Shema they said. There's a whole sugi about Rebbe and Bereshis about exactly what did he say and when did he say it. Said it, but in the end it comes to the conclusion that he said it. So there's those who don't need davening. That's fine. But Kriyat Shema, we said Kriyat Shema is connecting specifically with the infinite.
Bezrat Hashem, to be continued tomorrow.
So this is turning out to be, I think, the most important mimer we've learned in a long time. I think. Really,
Baruch Hashem.